Tonight, heavily armed police pull off a dramatic hostage takedown in Melbourne's southeast. Details live. Vic Roads under fire as the Optus hacking saga deepens. Breaking news on the Alistair Clarkson racism scandal. An arsonist accused of trying to burn Crown Casino to the ground. A former Matildas star carjacked while doing a live radio interview. And Captain Courageous Joel Selwood goes out on top.
Live from Melbourne, 7 News with Peter Mitchell starts now.
Good evening. A wanted man has surrendered to police after a standoff escalated into a hostage situation on the Mornington Peninsula. Chief Crime Reporter Cameron Bowe has the exclusive details on the takedown. And Cameron, the accused has form.
Mitch, this is the second time in as many weeks that police have been called to a siege at these units. Both of those sieges have involved the same man. Heavily armed police convinced that man to surrender at around 3 o'clock this afternoon. That followed nearly 5 hours of negotiations. The 25-year-old had taken an associate as a hostage and had made threats to harm the hostage with a knife.
Yeah, we did have fears for the hostage. There was a mention of harming of that person, so yeah, we did have fears. It just took some time and some good negotiations between the police and him, and eventually over that time we were able to successfully conclude this.
Both the alleged hostage taker and the hostage are in police custody tonight. They'll be spoken to in relation to 2 serious assaults in Mornington overnight. At this stage, they have not been charged over those matters, but one of the assault victims remains in the Alfred Hospital, Mitch.
Cameron Bowe at Mornington, thank you. Vic Roads is being swamped by angry Optus customers desperate to get a new driver's licence. Most were turned away today as the hacking crisis deepens.
Out of Optus for more than a decade, but somehow still not safe from its data breach.
I just was disappointed after 12 years. Why are they still holding on to the data?
Tony Turner, like thousands of Victorians, has now registered for a new driver's licence, fearing his current one leaves him open to identity theft.
We will issue licences to anybody who's been affected by the Optus hack.
Easy to promise, much harder to deliver.
Pissed off, because I think that's what they're there for.
At Vic Roads in Hoppers Crossing, concerned Optus customers were turned away, told it can only be done online. But for now, you can only have your Victorian driver's licence number flagged on the national database. Go to vicroads.vic.gov.au/Optus breach. Fill out this form where you can also request a new licence number. Vic Roads will contact affected customers from there and ask Optus to pay.
We still haven't received the full details from Optus around the number of Victorian customers that have been impacted.
It might not just be licences. Medicare numbers and passports were used by some to open an Optus account.
We're particularly concerned that only in the last 24 hours did we learn of the breach of Medicare data.
The federal government making an official request today that Optus also pay for passport replacements. 10 million Australians are caught in the Optus leak, including the Shadow Home Affairs Minister notified yesterday.
Quite frankly, my response to it was to eye roll. It had very little information in it.
Oh yes, I'm very concerned. I get enough scam calls already. What's going to happen next,
Optus is tonight advertising for a new lead data engineer. The ad claiming, at Optus, we don't sit back and let the future happen to us. It's sure to be a busy first few weeks in that job.
Blake Johnson joins us now, and Blake, pressure is building on the Optus CEO.
Pete, financial commentators have taken a swing at Kelly Bayer Rosmarin, revealing she sits on the board of 3 other companies and questioning if she had the focus to run Australia's second biggest telco. And late this afternoon, the Prime Minister has added he wants to see Optus pay for all ID documents that need to be replaced. Pete?
Blake Johnson in South Yarra, thank you. Alistair Clarkson has again issued a firm denial over new bombshell claims in the Hawthorn racism scandal. He's hitting out as the AFL is facing growing pressure to fast-track its investigation.
A week after the scandal emerged, the AFL investigation still hasn't started, and Alistair Clarkson's had enough. Late today, the new North Melbourne coach expressed grave concerns of a fair process. Clarkson says details of the damning report leave him with no option but to deny in the strongest and most emphatic terms possible the behaviour claimed. He says his clear memory of the matters reported is very different to that of the accusers, also denying a win-at-all-costs mentality. And the Coaches Association says the AFL needs to fast-track the inquiry.
Well, obviously we want things done as well as possible, but it needs to be done as fast as possible.
The recommendations from Hawthorn's racism report have now leaked in full. In it, allegations of intimidation to First Nations players, the findings alleging human rights abuse by Alastair Clarkson, Chris Fagan and Jason Burt. The report naming Mark Evans, the current CEO of the Gold Coast Suns, and allegations from an assistant coach, Evans, Clarkson, Fagan and Burt, operated the football department like the Russian mafia.
Is there any argument that Alastair or Chris could be reinstated if it drags out for too much longer?
Well, that's exactly why we're saying this needs to get going as soon as possible because of this scenario. So, I'm sure their clubs will have a strong point of view on that in time.
And put simply, tonight Gil McLachlan's trying to work out exactly what to do next, which is critical now. The problem and delay forming the panel is because the alleged victims don't necessarily want to engage with the AFL's process. They've already spoken to Hawthorn. I'm told tonight they're more reluctant than ever than when this started to contribute to the AFL's process. Now, Brisbane and North now face most, if not all, of the off-season without a coach. That's clearly unworkable. And Clarkson, and this is significant tonight in his statement, didn't rule out protecting his reputation and position. In other words, that's potential legal action. He won't hesitate in a bid to clear his name.
Tom Brown reporting. Thank you. An accused arsonist has been charged after throwing a Molotov cocktail into a Crown restaurant. Police say the man had a vendetta and wanted to burn the casino to the ground.
The outside of two restaurants at Crown ablaze at 1 a.m. as security push people back and firefighters rush in. Police say a man used his own T-shirt and a bottle of Jack Daniels to make a Molotov cocktail and throw it at the window of Bistro Guillaume on Crown Promenade. The fire spread to awnings and outdoor furniture and next door to Jing Thai. Firefighters believe if it burned for another 2 minutes, inside would have caught fire, causing significant damage. Police say the firebug is 39-year-old Hussein Kassem, that he watched it burn and firefighters battling it before they arrested him on Flinders Street. He's currently banned from Crown. It's not yet clear why. The same man is believed responsible for another fire attack at Crown half an hour earlier in the foyer bathroom of the nearby Crown Towers Hotel. He told a patron in the toilet to evacuate before setting toilet paper on fire. The sprinklers activated, flooding the room. Hussein Kassem has been charged with reckless conduct endangering persons and 2 counts of arson. In an application for bail this afternoon, police said Kassem told detectives he wanted to burn Crown down and had a personal vendetta against the venue. He shouted and ranted over the magistrate and was remanded until January 18. Paul Dowsley, 7 News.
The Coalition is spruiking a $300 million plan to staff Victorian hospitals as the pre-election bidding war heats up. But the Andrews government claims the Liberals can't deliver on their promises.
It didn't come with the same fanfare, but the message was similar.
It's a plan to deliver thousands of extra nurses. It's a plan to upskill the nurses.
The $325 million plan provides scholarships to 25,000 nursing students, the majority in the public system.
This isn't a plan for one sector, public or private or one or the other. It's a plan for the whole healthcare system.
The state government's plan, announced last month, is worth $270 million. It provides scholarships for 10,000 students.
We favour the public over the private. We favour patients over profit.
The opposition has also promised to deliver 20 new or upgraded hospitals.
Well, that's questionable, isn't it? Because we've also got, as you indicated, a nursing shortfall. But the answer is not more hospitals, and we've got to stop with the populist politics of standing in front of a hospital and calling it healthcare.
Daniel Andrews was also making health announcements today. He spent the morning in Wantirna, the Premier promising to upgrade 3 regional aged care facilities if he's re-elected.
At Kahuna, Numurkah and Mafra, we will provide up to $170 million to upgrade those facilities so that they too are the very best that they can be.
Chanel Vella, 7 News.
Time is running out for Melbourne motorists to fill up before the cut to the fuel excise ends. Rochelle Brown joins us now, and Rochelle, prices are tipped to start rising very soon.
Midge, the RACV is predicting a rise of about 25 cents a litre, but they are expecting a buffer of up to 5 days before the price increase flows through to the pump, with 700s of litres of fuel already in the system. Melburnians are already paying an average of $97 in fuel each week, $24 more than this time last year. The ACCC says it will be monitoring prices and won't hesitate to take action.
The ACCC is monitoring extremely closely and intensely. We are looking for unexpected or abnormal movements in price. If we see abnormal increases and movements in price, we will not hesitate to call out what we are seeing.
Prices are already sitting just below $2 a litre at most stations. Drivers are being urged to shop around. Mitch?
Rochelle Brown at Albert Park, thank you. A grandmother has lost her fight for life more than 2 weeks after her car hit a couch sitting in the middle of a Geelong road. Family members kept a bedside vigil for Vicky McKenzie, but the 74-year-old succumbed to her injuries on Tuesday. Police still don't know why the couch was on the road and are appealing for dashcam video. Labor has unveiled its integrity bill aimed at stamping out corruption in federal parliament. The watchdog is to have sweeping powers to investigate politicians and public officials.
An army of independents and Greens on the march on an issue central to their election.
This is a once-in-a-generation opportunity. We plan to get it right.
Australians voted for more integrity. They voted for more transparency.
The government says that's what it's delivering.
A powerful, transparent and independent National Anti-Corruption Commission.
But while the crossbench wants all hearings to be public,
one of the best disinfectants for corruption is sunshine.
The government's legislation says public hearings will only be held in exceptional circumstances at the discretion of the Commissioner.
The default position is that hearings will be held in private.
Opposition leader Peter Dutton says that will prevent innocent people having their reputations trashed on the back of vexatious allegations.
I don't want a show trial. I want people who have committed a crime to go to jail.
But the Commission's powers will be retrospective and allow anyone to lodge a complaint, opening the possibility the first high-profile targets will be Morrison government ministers.
I'm not concerned. If people have done something wrong, then they should be held to account. I don't care whether they're Liberal, Labor or Teal or Green.
We feel that the government, on face value, has got the balance right.
The coalition will now likely back the bill, knowing if it doesn't, it could lose more seats to the Teals, and the Teals and the other crossbenchers will have very little say in the outcome. With the coalition on side, the government simply doesn't need their votes.
This legislation is worthy of support of the entire Parliament.
And is now likely to get it, turning a Federal Corruption Commission into reality before the end of the year. Mark Riley, 7 News.
Channel 9 reporter Seb Costello has faced court accused of attacking a woman and her brother. A dispute allegedly broke out when the siblings' car blocked Costello's access to a Richmond laneway. The 35-year-old did not address the court but has previously denied the claims. 2 giant undersea gas pipelines between Russia and Western Europe appear to have been sabotaged. European authorities are now investigating mysterious explosions as relations with Russia are strained even further.
Bubbling on the surface of the Baltic Sea off Sweden and Denmark, climate-harming methane from one of 3 sudden leaks in the Nord Stream natural gas pipelines. This after seismologists detected explosions.
We've now determined the magnitude, that's magnitude 2.3, equivalent to an earthquake.
The world's longest subsea pipelines, 1,200-kilometre links between Russia's gas fields and German industry hungry for energy. They're now punctured. Both pipelines had been idle as the world seeks to punish Russia for its Ukraine invasion. Now, any hope of resuming gas supplies for the approaching European winter appears gone.
There's basically only one actor right now that actually benefits from more uncertainty, and that is Russia.
Russia denies involvement. The Kremlin says it's extremely concerned. Regardless, the severed pipelines are now a powerful, practical example of Moscow's isolation from its Western neighbours. This week, President Vladimir Putin is expected to annex 4 Ukrainian territories. Ukraine's president telling the United Nations it will mean that there is nothing to talk about with this president of Russia. Russian-backed authorities in all 4 disputed territories claimed overwhelming referendum wins today. The votes to join Russia are widely viewed as a sham. Tim Lester, 7 News.
A backlash is growing over a decision to rename Melbourne's Maroondah Hospital after Queen Elizabeth II. More than 50,000 people have now signed a petition to reverse the state government's call. The move was part of a $1 billion election promise to rebuild the hospital. Inspirational Geelong captain Joel Selwood has announced his retirement just 4 days after leading the Cats to premiership glory. The champion fought back tears as he walked away from the game he loves.
The ultimate farewell for footy's ultimate warrior.
There you go.
Joel Selwood bowing out on top.
6 weeks ago I decided that this would be it, that I'd finish my playing days at the Geelong Footy Club. Win, lose or draw, I could go probably at 85%. Next year, I had to be all in.
Selwood's decision was a closely guarded secret. Coach Chris Scott, one of the few who knew, told just prior to round 23.
We had a bit of a cry together. I went to walk out the door and then I had to turn around and have another hug before I walked out.
He's the best player I've ever seen.
A fairy tale finish few footballers enjoy.
The skipper, the hero, the superstar. What a moment.
I came off in the last quarter. Sam de Koning was on the interchange bench with me on one side. Blitz was on the other side. And Sam just said, you can't finish. And I knew that I was going out for my last 15 minutes of the game. Of my career.
The 34-year-old all class until the end. The boy from Bendigo made an impact in Geelong the moment he walked through the door. He's the club's only 4-time premiership player, a premiership captain, 6-time All-Australian. No other player has captained more games or played in more finals.
So the curtain comes down on the career of one of the AFL's absolute greats. Selwood's next challenge, though, might be his biggest yet, becoming a father for the first time with wife Britt.
A holiday is up next as the footy world moves on.
There'll be another number 14 one day and they'll do it just as proud.
Andrew McCormack, 7 News.
An absolute class act. Tim Watson, also a class act, joins us now with sport. And Tim, Joel's move opens the door for the Cats.
It does, Mitch. What a leader he's been to. We'll have details on what it means for their trade period. Also hear from a Tigers midfielder on his meeting with Port Adelaide coach Ken Hinkley, plus the bizarre request from an autograph from Lionel Messi, and we'll be live with a very special guest at the Bulldogs' Best in Ferris Count. I'll see you again soon.
OK, Tim, thanks very much indeed. A former Matildas soccer star has been attacked during a live radio interview. Her chilling account is next on 7 News. Also, an Australian woman's harrowing testimony during a French terrorism trial. The Prince and Princess of Wales on tour. Australian super funds take a hit. After sport, new expert advice to safeguard your nest egg.
And I'm in the biggest showbag pavilion in the Southern Hemisphere with tonight's weather later in 7 News.
Premier is flatly refusing to apologise to public housing residents caught up in a snap COVID lockdown in 2020. That's despite the Ombudsman today repeating a recommendation that he say sorry for locking down the towers without notice.
A lot of very difficult decisions had to be made, and those decisions save lives.
The Ombudsman says an apology would rebuild trust and help residents move on. A former Australian soccer player has become the victim of an attempted carjacking while doing a live radio interview. Shocked listeners heard the former Matilda scream in terror.
A run-of-the-mill radio interview
We're coming unstuck a bit.
Yeah.
that suddenly cut to this.
I think Claire Wheeler has been talked about it. I have no idea what has gone on there. And I really hope Alicia is okay.
A heart-stopping moment, live on air, the host's helpless.
That's a very scary moment. It's just happened live on air. We'll try and get back in touch with Alicia.
Their fear was justified.
I guess the most harrowing thing was people right at your window sort of wanting to get in and take your vehicle.
Their guest, former junior Matilda Alicia Canavis, was surrounded by a group of young men, one armed with a knife.
Just pure luck that I didn't actually switch the car off completely because the doors would have unlocked automatically. I just put the car into drive and got out of there as quickly as I could.
The former soccer player insists she's doing well.
I know there's a lot of worried people about me and my health and all of that as well, but feeling pretty good considering.
But is happy to get out of the spotlight.
This is very bright, isn't it?
Georgie Chumley, 7 News.
Overseas now, a French court has heard harrowing testimony from an Australian family caught up in the Nice terror attack. 6 years on, the Strattons still don't feel like French authorities did enough, and it's changed their lives forever.
Haunted by the memory of Bastille Day 2016, Adelaide Stratton recalling in a Paris court the burning image of laying alone next to the dead bodies. "I will always remember the screams I heard," she said. "I lost so much of my life because of this." Just 22, Adelaide was holidaying in Nice with friends when a truck ploughed through the crowded foreshore, killing 86 people. The driver, a French-Tunisian man, shot dead by police metres from where the Sydney woman woke up. Her injuries horrific, a cracked spine, searing burns. "There was blood dripping down my face. I couldn't speak," Adelaide told the court. "I saw so much chaos around me." Adelaide's mother, father and sister also testifying, victims too. This a family's worst nightmare. The Strattons' voices, just 4 of the near 250 victims expected to testify. A day that could have been avoided, according to father David Stratton. French authorities asleep at the wheel, he told the court, failing to respond to the high threat of a terrorist attack. An attack that nearly cost the Stratton family their world. In Paris, David Woywood, 7 News.
Royals William and Kate are back at work, with the Prince and Princess of Wales returning to the country for the first time since taking on their new titles. But it was this 4-year-old melting hearts. It's the first official outing for the pair since the royal family finished an extended period of mourning for the Queen. Melbourne diners are about to be left out in the cold after a controversial council ruling. The details are ahead. Also, a shocking case of road rage in Richmond. The best way to protect yourself from identity theft, a special 7 News investigation. And a pop megastar facing years behind bars. Royal Melbourne show workers have told police a 26-year-old woman was asked to wait before they could stop the roller coaster and retrieve her dropped mobile phone. They say the woman ignored instructions and jumped onto the tracks where she was hit. She remains in a critical condition in hospital. A furious cyclist has smashed a windscreen in a road rage attack on Punt Road. The driver had a green light when the cyclist cut in front of him on Monday afternoon. The driver has reported the incident to police. Cafes and restaurants say they've been hit with an iron fist over a decision to charge them to keep their outdoor dining. Melbourne City councillors voted to reinstate the fees, and customers are set to pick up the bill.
Outdoor dining has brought a cosmopolitan feel to the city.
Yes.
It was introduced during the pandemic as a free Melbourne City initiative, but from November 1, cafes and restaurants will have to cough up to keep their alfresco dining permits.
They're still struggling to come back from the last couple of years. They thought they should have been dealt with a velvet glove. Instead, they feel like they've been hit by an iron fist again.
If people are just focusing on revenue streams, what they're going to do is kill what is the culture and lifeblood of Melbourne.
Melbourne City councillors voted unanimously to reintroduce fees. Converted parking spaces, called parklets, can also stay at a half price rate until June next year. There's fears customers will pick up the bill.
Perhaps looking to reclaw lost revenue from parking fees or parking fines.
We have a new hardship policy for outdoor dining, so if we do have traders struggling, there are many ways that we can support them.
Buskers will be able to perform for free until mid-next year because their permit fees have been waived, while struggling Docklands businesses will be able to continue free outdoor dining because that area hasn't recovered as quickly as the CBD.
It's engaging and entertaining, and we think it's an absolute feature of Melbourne.
Tegan Dolling, 7 News.
The terrorist who built the bombs used in the deadly Bali attacks has broken down and begged for forgiveness. He met with the widow of one of his victims, vowing to never return to terrorism.
Nilu Elniati's husband was head waiter at the Sari Club, one of the 202 people killed by the bombs Umar Patek built. Now she's done what many couldn't, met with the terrorist who took her partner's life, revealing he broke down as she told how her life was changed forever.
He was crying and he wanted me to forgive him.
Patek is right now eligible for parole, having served just half his sentence. His term trimmed for good behaviour. But as Jakarta weighs up whether to release him, he's pleaded his case to a woman he made a widow. She's not sure she'll ever forgive him.
Yes, it is very, very difficult to me.
Here in Australia, a moment of silence was held in Parliament, remembering the 88 Australians killed on the cusp of the tragedy's 20th anniversary.
For now, I just want to think about the future.
Jacqueline Robson, 7 News.
Cuba is almost entirely without power tonight after Hurricane Ian hit, causing widespread damage. The Category 3 storm is expected to intensify as it heads for the United States mainland, with winds reaching up to 225 kilometres per hour. Florida is in a state of emergency, with 2.5 million residents moved from their homes. And pop star Shakira will face trial for tax evasion in Spain. The 45-year-old singer is facing 6 charges of tax fraud, amounting to more than $20 million. She could be jailed for up to 8 years if found guilty, but has always denied any wrongdoing. Victims of the Optus data breach are scrambling to secure their online information, but security experts say they're far from alone. Gemma Acton explains.
Peter, so far this year, Australians have lost nearly $7 million in more than 10,000 identity theft attacks. If you think you've been hacked, don't wait around.
Most important thing is to act really quickly. You haven't got the opportunity to wait a couple of weeks or a month to see if your information is part of a breach.
Firstly, let people know that means your bank, the agency that issued your identity document, the police, and report it to the ACCC's ScamWatch website. Also tell your family and friends, warning them not to click on any messages that look like they're from you. You'll need to reset all of your passwords, use multi-factor authentication, and the more complicated the password, the better. Don't use the same one again and again, and consider using a password manager if you're worried about forgetting them. Request a credit report to check loans or credit cards haven't been taken out in your name, and importantly, know that there is help available. Australia's National Identity and Cyber Support Service, ID Care, offers free advice and counselling. Peter.
Thanks, Gemma. Victoria's courts are at breaking point. Next, the divisive plan to help clear the backlog. Also coming up, a manhunt to make sure this border fugitive faces justice. Footy's biggest names paid tribute to a legend of the game. And after sport, the latest expert advice to protect your super from taking a hit. A manhunt continues along the Victoria-New South Wales border for a fugitive with a distinctively tattooed face. Murray River Police need help tracking down James Sutton. He was bailed on domestic violence-related charges on September the 8th and is known to frequent the Deniliquin area. There's renewed pressure on the Andrews government to decriminalise cannabis. Union leaders, legal experts and members of Parliament all say it will help ease the pressure on our buckling justice system.
On the steps of Parliament to ignite action from the Premier.
Cannabis must be decriminalised.
Armed with a letter of support from community leaders.
It is signed by many organisations that the Premier meets with regularly, that the Premier quotes regularly. So we call on the Premier to listen to these same organisations this time.
Lawyers and youth advocates are among those backing Fiona Patton's push to decriminalise marijuana. It's already been done in South Australia, the ACT and Northern Territory, as well as in countries like the US, Thailand and Malaysia. Fiona Patton, who was recently diagnosed with cancer, is furious the government won't consider the move, even after an inquiry recommended it.
Around 30% of all hearings in our magistrate courts are drug-related. So imagine if we could reduce the number of people going through our magistrates court by 30%.
11,000 Victorians are arrested each year for cannabis-related crimes, but the Premier isn't interested.
My position has not changed.
Neither is the opposition.
It's not on our agenda to decriminalise any drugs, because I've never seen any evidence to tell me I should be.
The government still hasn't responded to the parliamentary inquiry into cannabis. Jodie Lee, 7 News.
In finance news, tech and bank stocks have taken a hit as the share market fell further. Here's Gemma Acton again.
Thanks, Peter. Another day in the doghouse for the ASX 200, which today shed a further 34 points to close at 6,462. Technology took the wooden spoon, with banks also caught up in the sell-off. The Aussie dollar has taken another leg lower to now slip below 64 US cents, while there has been little change today in commodity prices. And retail sales rose in August for the 8th month in a row, with Australians spending nearly $35 billion. Analysts say this continued consumer resilience, despite 5 interest rate hikes, makes it more likely the Reserve Bank will push through another 0.5% increase next week. Peter.
Gemma Acton reporting. Treasurer Jim Chalmers has given his first indication that he does not want to see King Charles on our $5 note.
It shouldn't be beyond us to consider and to consult on the best way to change the $5 note.
Mr Chalmers has had preliminary talks with the Reserve Bank about the process to replace the Queen on our currency. Footy power brokers and some of the game's greats have gathered at Arden Street for the funeral of Dr Alan Aylett. The Hall of Fame member died earlier this month at the age of 88. Dr Aylett played 220 games for the Kangaroos and Victoria in the 1950s and 60s before he was elected president of the VFL in 1977. Rest in peace, Alan Aylett. Sport is next with Tim Watson, and Tim, a premiership star, wants to move interstate.
He does. Mitch the Ford has told his club he wants a change and is heading north. Details next. Also, we speak with Tiger Jack Graham on his trip to Adelaide, chasing a fresh start. We're live to the Bulldogs' best and fairest to chat with a special guest. What Joel Selwood's retirement means for the Cats' chances of going back to back, and the great lengths fans will go to for an autograph with a soccer superstar. Welcome back. 3-time Hawthorn Premiership star Jack Gunston has told the club he wants a fresh start. Chief football reporter Tom Brown has the details, and Tom, the Lions have got their man.
Tim, the free agent has nominated Brisbane. It's a coup for the Lions, who are aiming to land the Hawks forward
Josh Dunkley and top draftee Will Ashcroft. Moving tonight to the Cats, Geelong is in the market for the Gold Coast Suns' Jack Bowes, already interested in Tanner Bruin and Ollie Henry. Now, lots of clubs want to talk to Joel Selwood already when the time is right. As an assistant coach, Selwood and Chris Scott believe they're in great shape, the Cats.
I'm going to say there won't be much cap space because Joel's finishing. Could have had us over a barrel. He would have paid him whatever he asked for. Yeah. But he never did.
Never did. The magic potion, everyone's looking for it, but it's not always easy to do what they're doing. And they are basically unbeatable at the moment.
Now, Tiger Jack Graham visited Port Adelaide today. The reason is Taranto and Hopper have created a salary squeeze, a good one for them at Punt Road. Even Tom Lynch has agreed to shuffle his payments around.
Obviously, I'm from Adelaide, so you never know, but no, I'm just back here seeing family at the moment.
And just finally tonight, I can reveal the legal team representing Alistair Clarkson. Julie Condon, one of Australia's leading King's Counsel, specialises in criminal law and human rights law and is a former county court judge, and two top lawyers from Cause Chambers Westcast. Clarkson is currently fully cooperating with the AFL. The AFL optimistic tonight they will get the cooperation of the alleged victims in their proposed process as well. It's just taking a little bit of time to work through, Tim.
It is. Thanks, Tom. Superstar Dustin Martin missed Richmond's best and fairest count last night as coach Damien Hardwick delivered a pointed message to his players for the off-season.
Just do the extra. Make that 100-metre sprint 110. Lift 11 reps, not 10. Take the stairs, not the lift.
Tom Lynch claimed his first Jack Dyer medal, finishing ahead of Daniel Rioli and Dion Prestia. 4 times Bathurst 1000 winner Jamie Whincup is back in the driver's seat for this year's great race. The 39-year-old retired last year, but will partner 19-year-old Brock Feeney, born the same year Whincup started in supercars.
Oh, yeah, expectations are high, no doubt. Like we wouldn't be going there if we didn't think we were a shot.
All the action from the Bathurst 1000 on the screens of 7 from early next month. The Opals clinched top spot in their group at the World Cup with a 17-point win over Japan. It means they won't have to play hot favourites the United States until the final if they get that far. The Opals have now won 4 in a row since losing their opening match against France. Lionel Messi was swamped by die-hard fans wanting a piece of the Argentinian legend in a friendly against Jamaica. One supporter even asked him to sign his back before security tackled him to the ground. It didn't disrupt Messi, though, who scored twice in the 3-0 win. Marcus Bontempelli is looking to join Bulldogs royalty tonight. Andrew McCormack is at the Best and Fairest Awards, and Andrew, he's got one of the greatest ever in his sights.
That's right, Marcus Bontempelli looking for his 5th Charlie Sutton medal tonight. That'll equal the great E.J. Whitten. So the Bont still got so much footy left. He may equal E.J. tonight, but I'm good enough to be joined by the CEO, Amit Baines. Amit, is Bont your tip tonight?
I think it'll be hotly contested. Been a few players that have had strong seasons. Josh Dunkley, Tom Liberatore, even someone like an Ed Richards. So yeah, be exciting count, I think.
Disappointing way to end the season after a bit of an up and down year. What's been the wash up? I guess more help for Luke Beveridge. You've already secured this off season. Is that the mantra for you guys? Yeah,
look, we were frustrated and disappointed, I suppose, with that inconsistency. At our best, we beat 3 of the top 4, and our other performances didn't quite stack up. So I think the off season's been about working through how we can get better, and Brendan Lade's appointment a couple of days ago will certainly help.
Luke's out of contract next year. Are you comfortable going into the year with him still out of contract, or will you look to start talks then, or wait till the season plays out? How's that going to unfold?
Well, look, we have a discussion at the end of every year, once the dust has settled, just about the year that's been, the year ahead. So I'm sure as part of those discussions in the coming weeks, that'll be picked up as one of the topics.
So you'll start talks with Bevo, hopefully, or just think about it?
Well, it's all part of the usual end of year discussion point. So if it goes and progresses that way, so be it.
Thanks, Ahmed. Appreciate your time. The Bont, the tip tonight?
Thanks, Macca. Always a big night, Mitch, the Best and Fairest Awards night. Do you like Damien Hardwick's message too? Take the stairs.
Take the stairs, not the lift. What if you work in a skyscraper?
Often it's not working here, so you do have to take the stairs.
Yes, you do. Thank you very much for pointing that out, Tim. Retirement stress is on the rise, with a growing number of Australians worried their nest eggs won't be enough to live on. Others have no idea how much money they'll need as the cost of living soars.
It's an age-old question on how much you need to retire.
Ballpark figure?
$500,000? Yeah.
No idea.
Yeah, just the thought of it scares me too much.
I think that when it happens, future me can deal with it.
According to financial experts,
it's about $67,000 per annum for a comfortable retirement.
And that's the problem. 3 in 5 Australian workers worry when the time comes they won't have enough, and almost half don't actually know how much they'll need.
The biggest fear that people have when they go into retirement is the fear of running out of money.
Research conducted by financial services group AMP also showed a $200,000 gap between how much employees think they'll need and how much they think they'll have.
What we need to do is give people more information so they can make informed decisions about their current expenditure, because if you give up something today and you salt it away, it makes a huge difference to your income in retirement. I think we spend a bit too much.
The good news out of this research is that Australians are becoming more aware about the importance of early planning. The number of employees starting to think about retirement has doubled over the last 2 years.
It's never too late or too early to make some plans and set some goals.
Get in early and plan early and make sure you're set up properly for when the time comes, because it comes around very quickly.
Sonia Marinelli, 7 News.
Jane Bunn is at the Melbourne Royal Show with the forecast this evening. And Jane, is that the last of the rain for a bit?
Well, Mitch, yes, for most of Melbourne, and here at the show, yes, we now enter a stretch of dry weather. If you're after warmth and sunshine, good news after the break.
Tonight on the latest from 7 News, the hack bill adds up. Optus asked to cover passport costs on top of licences. Sabotage at sea. Exactly how does someone rupture 2 major gas pipelines? And how would you feel if your court case was judged by artificial intelligence? When it breaks, we'll have it tonight at 11:15.
Hello again. I'm in the biggest showbag pavilion in the Southern Hemisphere with over 330 showbags on display. After yet another chilly day, from here, our weather is going to get warmer. The city only briefly reached a top of 16. Most of the day was spent on 14 or 15. Earlier, we still had lots of drizzly showers passing through, mainly over northwestern suburbs as the wind turned southeasterly. That dried up in the afternoon as it contracted up to the ranges, and a large pocket of sunshine developed as promised. Then the cloud returned late afternoon, and under that, in the gusty wind, it certainly feels chilly. There is a lot of wet weather over southeastern New South Wales with rain and severe thunderstorms. Some of the rain is affecting East Gippsland, but it's generally dried up across the rest of the south. Warmer air has started to come into the northeast of the state, thanks to a low that is moving off the coast. The air has actually come down from Queensland, so it's both warmer and humid around Wodonga. From here, we'll move into a different weather phase. A high pressure system moves just to our south. So if you're after warmth and sunshine in Melbourne, then I have some great news. Sunshine starts to develop tomorrow, then on Friday and across the weekend, our weather looks much more pleasant. That'll be a nice break for those in flood with only isolated wet weather. The Murray River is swelling in several sections, impacting both roads and wildlife. We currently have all these rivers in minor to moderate flood, and there's still runoff from the recent rainfall to come through, so these eastern catchments remain on flood watch. Rivers may rise further in coming days. Around the nation tomorrow, sunshine returns to Brisbane, Sydney still showery, the risk of storms. Dry in Adelaide, warm and sunny in Perth. To Victoria, Gippsland and the Eastern Ranges still have showers streaming through, but it's mostly dry in the southwest under areas of cloud. Dry north of the Ranges, generally sunny after early frost in the Wimmera. Winds are light to moderate southeasterly. Closer in, the ranges to our north have drizzle, but the Melbourne area looks dry. Overhead, we have lingering areas of cloud mixed with pockets of sunshine. So the city and the show all dry tomorrow. There is cloud for much of the time, but occasional sunny breaks. A top of 17 feels not quite as chilly as today, thanks to a lighter wind. So to the 8-day outlook Friday, absolutely lovely, and so is the weekend. We do have cool starts, but the days are warmer, reaching 19 and then 20 degrees on Sunday. There is lots of sunshine. It feels nice as thunderstorms develop up to our north, but they don't come into Melbourne. It is dry on Friday, Saturday and Sunday. Next week, Monday up to 21, 23 on Tuesday as we start to see a bit of cloud develop. Wet weather Wednesday. So tomorrow, top of 17. It doesn't feel quite as cold as what we had there today. Occasional breaks of sunshine tomorrow, in with a bit of cloud, but that sunshine is a sign of what we'll see as we go into the weekend. Mitch, will be absolutely great.
Fantastic, Jane. And Tim and I would both like a Bertie Beetle show bag if it's not too much trouble.
I'll bring one back.
Thank you very much indeed. Now here's what's on Sunrise tomorrow.
Thanks, Mitch. Tomorrow on Sunrise, megastar Harry Connick Jr.
His big plans for Australia as he heads to Melbourne to unearth the next big thing in music.
See you in the morning.
And that's the way it is this Wednesday, the 28th of September. Thanks for your company. For now, from the 7 News team, good night.